So I also was a bit excited to see that did I really did it, because there was a feeling after completing DI that I have got the all 20 question right. And that excitement was there. Even when I was doing verbal, I wanted to see my DI score, because even in mock, it was never gone so good.
Yes.
So after completing the verbal, when I clicked the final score of the seeing 745, which was more than the biggest target I had given for myself, it was unbelievable feeling. And then just after realizing that I have scored DI90, which was a very rare feat, it was another level of feeling. Just
Yeah.
like you said, a cherry on top. Also, one small advice which had helped me a lot, and I think can help many students in RC. Whenever you start reading an RC, just take a few seconds and smile, and create an interest in your mind that you are going to learn something new. Because you, understanding a passage a lot depend on how much interest you are putting in while reading it. So when you are reading the first line of the RC, if you start with an interest and inquisitive nature, that I am going to learn something new, I am going to read about something which I didn't have a knowledge about. So I calculated that getting a Tatkal passport, it was showing that it would take 3 to 10 days. I also don't wanted to reschedule a lot more than, because it would break the momentum. It's not about putting more effort, more hours, but more than that, effective hours. That you are more concentrated in that and you are effectively learning from. So it really helps.
Hi, Kishlay.
Hi.
Oh, you can't stop laughing. I know because it's such a brilliant score. Big congratulations on your 745 and the
Thank
cherry on
you.
the top with a D90. I have to tell that. Yes.
That was an amazing feeling to score the highest marks in that section, which you are weakest in initial diagnostic quiz. So it was a really amazing feeling to
Mhm.
get that DI90. Just see it on the screen. It was really a sigh of relief and instant happiness, which can't be properly expressed in word. But yeah, it just was an amazing feeling.
Yes, it is. D90 is amazing. 745 is amazing. D90 is even more amazing. And it has been quite a bit of journey. You've left no stone unturned to reach there. And I think the score just goes on to speak whole volumes about that. But I think when you said it was a sigh of relief, but what was it when you saw that 745 pop up?
So initially, because I was always, even when I thought that I can score 100 percentile in the distant dream, it was always possible only if I score Q90.
Mm-hmm.
The only consideration in which it was possible that I score supremely well in verbal and DI, but it would be only possible because quant is my strong section and I have to score
Mm-hmm.
Q90. And while giving the quant portion, I realized that I am not able to solve one question, and quant section penalized more strictly compared to other section
Mm-hmm.
in GMAT, GFE, because I have seen people getting 87 Q87 just by giving one question wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So that thing was also in the mind when I was finally hitting the end of verbal section, that I won't get the score because I haven't scored Q90. But since I have completed my DI with a confidence, with a 1 minute remaining or so, which is the lengthiest section, and I have completed it with a minute remaining and with the confidence. So I also was a bit excited to see that did I really did it, because there was a feeling after completing DI that I have got the all 20 question right. And that excitement was there. Even when I was doing verbal, I wanted to see my DI score, because even in mock it was never gone so good.
Yes.
So after completing the verbal, when I clicked the final score, popped up seeing 745, which was more than the biggest target I had given for myself. It was unbelievable feeling. And then just after realizing that I have scored DI90, which was a very rare feat, it was another level of feeling. Just
Yeah.
like you said, a cherry on top.
Yes, it is. It is really, really brilliant. And most importantly, when you took the first mock, this is your first attempt, right? First ever
Yeah,
GMAT.
yeah, yeah.
So
It is my first.
yes. So when you took your first mock, the cold mock score, it was a 635. And the weakest section in that whole mock was data insights, in which you got a 76. You know, from that 76 to the section in which you scored the maximum, a humongous 14-point improvement to a perfect data insights is, you should take a bow. It's just amazing. So let's start with that, right?
Sure,
I
sure.
know DI you did towards the end, as an after your verbal point, then you came to data insight, but the score is just so amazing. We have to start with that. As to, when you did take the mock, what were the major challenges? Because it was the weakest section. I don't think you were even able to complete it, right?
So in my first mock where I scored DI76, I remember I was able to complete only 13, 14 questions.
Hmm.
And even before giving the first mock, I had heard somewhere that in GMAT leaving a question give you a way more penalty than wrongly attempting it.
Mm-hmm.
So all the questions were remaining. I just selected in the last 1 minute and completed that mock. So I got DI76. So it was always in my mind that it is a uh, hectic and very lengthy portion that
Mm-hmm.
I was initially when I started DI preparation. I always thought that after going through all the practice questions, I would be able to attempt to reach a level where I would be able to attempt 18 questions. It was the
Mm-hmm.
target. Attempting
Okay, not
20
not to
questions
score
was not
well,
even
but
in the target. So, so initially that was a target. But when after completing the whole portion and after giving multiple cementing quizzes and few sectional mock, I realized that apart from quant, DI is also a strong zone for me.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It is a quant-based data sufficiency portion, which many people have a problem with. I
Mm-hmm.
personally found most easiest section of the DI was data sufficiency, and I realized that this is the portion which can help me complete all 20 questions because
Mm-hmm.
there were many DS questions which I complete in within a minute or less
Mm-hmm.
than.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because I really want to give this advice to whoever is listening that if you complete whoever, especially who are the eGMAT student, that if you solve multiple questions of DS from the eGMAT Scholarium, so pattern repeat itself in
Yeah.
actual exam also, in mocks also, in official mocks also. There is a limited variety of DS question, and if you really practice hard on DS portion, and you just don't blindly practice it, try to find a pattern that this type of question I don't have to solve the equation. If there is a lone type of question, these two options means can be solved by only A or both or none of them would be sufficient. This thing helped me
Mm-hmm.
complete the 20 question. But to get 20 question right, I think one of the thing I really wanted to share that if you there is a most time consuming portion is Gita, graphical interpretation and table analysis is
Mm-hmm.
apart from MSR, it takes a lot of time
Mm-hmm.
to interpret the graph, to interpret the data.
Mm-hmm.
And I am saying that you should follow this advice with a bit of precaution. Only if you have practiced more than 100 or 130 questions, you can solve table analysis question without reading the whole question. So it is a advice, but not for all. If
Yeah.
you had reached that level that you have started identifying that pattern, that in this type of table, you just have to focus on the keyword that what was the total number of the data point, what we have to find, and then you just can directly jump to the question stem.
Mm-hmm.
These are only if you are able to find that pattern. If you don't, initially, you should stick to the whole teaching that application file teach you, that complete the whole question stamp, then understand the whole graph, then try to solve those questions. But if you have practiced so much, you can skip a portion of it
Mm-hmm.
so that it can reduce, at least in some question, it can reduce some time. So that's the
So
whole
I
DI
think
experience for
I
me.
think what you mean is basically have the set process and take the process to next level when it becomes intuitive to you.
Yeah.
It just at
So
a
first,
spinal level you
initially
already
start with a
understand.
set process that you have been taught with in the multiple application files and the concept file. Follow it. When you start practicing it more and more, it becomes so intuitive to you that you can start seeing the keywords in the whole question
Mm-hmm.
stem. That this is 30,000 is the total population. This is 20,000 in the initial year. It becomes three times in the final year. So you can interpret the graph automatically.
Mm-hmm.
But it
Got
will
it.
come after a lot of practice. That
Yes.
intuition.
That's true. That's true. That's very true. Also, Kishley, going back to, you took your mock, you created your study plan, and your study plan asked you to do your verbal, then quant, and then data insights. So how important is to have good set of verbal and quant skills for data insights?
I think it's extremely important because when when you seriously consider it, DI doesn't involve much of the newer concept. It
Mm-hmm,
is the application of the quant and verbal concept.
mm-hmm,
So in TPA verbal question, let's just assume most of the portion is solved by critical reasoning or
mm-hmm,
CR type of question are there. Even in the condition question, it is a based on somewhat based on the CR type of question,
mm-hmm,
and you have practiced CR question more and more in the verbal side of thing. It will definitely help you in getting the hang of a TPA question, TPA verbal question more easily.
mm-hmm,
Similarly, if you have solved quant religiously, done the whole cementing quizzes, and try to achieve A or A minus score in most of the sections, it will help you in DI sections like in DS side. Gita is somewhat different because in that you have to analyze the pattern,
mm-hmm,
but in DS it helps. In TPA, the quant portion, the knowledge of the quant
mm-hmm,
uh, concepts really help.
mm-hmm,
Also, I would say that since completing after completing those portions, you also become more comprehensive reader of the text
mm-hmm,
because you
mm-hmm,
practice a lot of text in RCs. So when you solve MSR type of question, your RC ability really kick in because you
mm-hmm,
have practiced so much RC passages. It will help you to really understand the MSR in a less time and
mm-hmm,
more attentively. So these
mm-hmm.
are really very helpful. And there is a reason that so eGMAT platform is consist of professionals and they are suggesting that to do verbal quant. Then after DI, there is a reason behind it because it is a pattern which really helps
Mhm.
doing DI in a more efficient way and in very less time as compared to if you start learning those concepts in DI first,
Yes.
because many people have that thought that DI is my weakest, and everyone says that you should work more on your weakest. So I should start on DI from the starting itself.
Mhm.
I also had that thought, but I realized that no, doing the conceptual files of verbal and quant really is more helpful in DI than starting DI early.
Very true, I think. See, the thing is, a lot of your foundational or core skills are something that you acquire from your verbal and quant. After that, I think DI is all about learning the application. If given a graph, how do you interpret it? How do you make sense of the data? How do you own it? All that kind of things, right? And the thing is, you did a brilliant job with verbal, brilliant job with quant, but in data insights too, I'm so glad you brought up the aspect of the AA minus grades, right? And I just want to share our viewers, how well you took. doing the course to another level. These are, you keep mentioning cementing quiz stats, and these are your cementing quiz stats, which is like 80% for hard questions, and medium questions are right out of the park, right? Brilliant,
Yeah.
brilliant cementing stats. And as you said, these cementing stats are what helped you, take your skill up to that level wherein you were able to get that D90. But then for good cementing stats, what is required is the way you do the course, right? Is the amount that you have invested in building that foundation and your GITA. And I can pick any course here. It's just that I open GITA, but any kind of course that I pick up, it could be TPA, and I look at your grades, they are all outright E grades. So it's not just enough to have those verbal and quad skills, but also you have to fine tune that by learning those applications, having these brilliant tools, and then cementing, of course, right? So
I should also say that in it's not about giving a more time to the preparation, it's also about giving effective time for the preparation. I heard one of the video, I had initially attended one of the webinar of Rajat, and he told that whenever you are solving a portion, whether it's an application file or concept file, try to do it in one sitting
mhm,
and be 100 or more than 100% attentive in
mhm,
those 25-minute time.
mhm,
If you have completed that concept file, take a break for
mhm,
5, 10, 15 minutes, whatever you want. But whenever you are understanding a concept file or solving an application file or a quiz, you should be more than 100% attentive in it. And it's not about putting more effort, more hours, but more than that effective hours, that you are more concentrated in that and you are effectively learning from it. So it really helps. That teaching, that one of the saying that Rajat said, it stuck with me that I should not think of giving more hour to the preparation. Rather than that, I
yeah.
should focus on effectively giving the time for the preparation.
Very true. I think
That,
these grades go on to show that, right? Your DI, you sort of wrapped it up within what, 15 to 20 days? That was the number of days that
yeah,
you put towards data insights. But just because you made each day count, each hour count in terms of the effectiveness is what we see the results of,
yeah.
right? Yeah, that's amazing. So you essentially prepared with eGMAT itself, right? You did not have to refer to other resources for data
No.
insights at all.
So when I started preparing, when I started thinking of giving GMAT, I saw multiple videos, some of the toppers of different coaching, and I generally had a list that
Mm-hmm,
I will prepare quant from one of the coaching. Let's say if I selected eGMAT, I will prepare quant from eGMAT. Then I will go also watch GMAT Ninja video. I will also solve GMAT lab question. So I had that list, but the resource eGMAT provide, it's in itself is exhaustive
mm-hmm,
and it's comprehensive. If you solve that, follow that, there is no need to go for another source. As per me, I even not have solved multiple GMAT club question. Even at times you tell me that solve some official questions, but I was pretty confident that the amount of scholarly question I had solved, it was more than enough, and I never felt the need to
mm-hmm.
go to
Got
other
it.
platform.
Got it. So you mentioned practice and you mentioned Spalranium, and semantic quizzes. So what value did that add? Yes, the course is one aspect of it, which helped you with those processes which you use to solve these questions. But when it comes to the practice, how did cementing and Spalranium help you fine tune your abilities? Because timing was
So,
a big issue. Accuracy again was an issue when you started out. But
so in my opinion, it's actually as important as course itself.
mm,
Because if you really want to give weightage, then final mocks and sectional mocks, I should give 20% weightage in the preparation,
mhm,
40% weightage that the whole concept file and application file, and you should give that 40% of focus to the scholarinium, because
mhm,
learning a concept is one thing, but solving in a quiz mode in
mhm,
a set time is another thing. So
mhm,
you have to inculcate that practice. You have to be at it that initially in in Scholarinium quizzes also there is a two timing. It's relaxed timing and standard timing.
Mm-hmm.
So they have planned the cementing quizzes like that. That initial few quizzes you will be given relaxed timing, 4 minute, 5 minute more than you will actually given in the
Mm-hmm.
actual exam, GMAT exam. So a lot of focus should be on the cementing and scholarinium practice,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's custom quizzes, in the end the sectional marks from the scholarinium. This whole thing in a comprehensive is a way complete resource for practicing, also for giving you that confidence that I can replicate that similar level of performance in the actual.
Got it. Got it. Actually, now that you mentioned sectional mock, I just wanted to, I don't know if you remember this or not, but the last sectional mock that took in data insights is where you got a D90.
Yeah, I remember that.
Right? So it's just as you rightly said, it's very important to have regular checks and balances, which tell you you're moving in the right direction. Starts with those A minus grades on the course, followed by, as you said, good scores in relaxed quiz, good scores in standard quiz, finally your sectional marks, and then finally overall marks. And I think with you, Kishlay, what each of these metrics said was you were meant to reach a brilliant score. Right? Now, so again, congratulations on D90. I know you can't stop smiling. I can't stop smiling too. It's just an unbelievable score. Uh, but yes, there are other sections also. So let's look at
Yeah.
quant. Um, Quant, you were starting out at a higher ability. Your first full mark score was a Q85. You got a Q87 in the final test, despite making three mistakes you mentioned. So those three mistakes that you made must have been super challenging or experimental question to get that 87, right? So tell me, despite starting out at a Q85 and being an IITian with a strong quant background, you still did the entire quant course. So, what was the need for you to do that? Despite starting out at a good ability,
Firstly,
and how did doing the course help you?
firstly, since I was out of the touch because I graduated 5 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
so one thing was to get in touch with the all concepts. Also, when I got the starting score of Q85, I was honest with me that there
Mm-hmm.
were questions that I have solved with not the appropriate method. I have substituted some values or something
Mm-hmm.
to get that answer. So it can work at times in question, but there can be a similar question
Mm-hmm.
with a different equation in which it won't work. So I wanted to get those questions with a appropriate process which can be replicated in a standard process which can be replicated in every question of similar types.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing was that. Also, out of the four portions, number property and advanced topics were the one which I found a bit challenging because I there were questions I was getting wrong. There were few concepts related to divisibility rule or unit digit places, cyclicity of unit digit. So these were the concepts that I had forgotten. So I had to get in touch with it and practice it. Also, permutation and combination and probability, these are the things that even are confident in quant, you should practice more
Mm-hmm.
because we have a very different varieties of the questions and some of those questions can surprise you. So it's better to be have practice multiple variety of questions from the advanced topic so you can get confidence in the exam also.
Got it.
So that was
Got
my
it.
plan. That's why I followed. Also, having pace really helped
Mm-hmm.
because it saves your time a lot.
Yes.
Pace
I,
recommend you initially give diagnostic quiz, and pace recommends that you can skip this portion if you are really strong in it.
mm-hmm.
So these things help, and I think almost 30 hours of my preparation would have been saved.
45, 45,
45,
45.
45 preparation was saved because of the pace suggestion. So that was
Yes.
also helpful. So these were the things.
So you found the
Also,
pace. Yeah. Sorry.
no. First you say pace. I was saying some different thing. We will discuss
Okay.
it after.
So let's speak about pace and then let's move to the other part that you wanted to discuss. Now, coming to pace, how realistic was it? Because when you say advanced topics and number properties were mostly your weaker areas, what I see is in terms of the total number of hours saved, it was 6 hours or almost 7 hours in number properties, 4.5 hours in advanced topics. But at the same time, for the courses that you were confident about, you like word problems, you mentioned this was a stronger area. Algebra was a stronger area. Here you just saved tremendous amount of time. 14 hours,
Yeah.
16 hours is something that you saved. So you were also mentioning that there was a time when you felt maybe I should bypass space, maybe I should go over all these files. But when you moved to cementing, you realized that it made sense that you had to skip these files. So
Yep. So because I thought that there may be few concepts which I don't remember correctly or which I have forgotten, so I should also solve those questions. If the time would be remaining in the preparation, I would also solve those portions which space has suggested skipping. But when I gave cementing quizzes, I realized the all the question, even if I was getting one or two questions wrong, the question I was getting wrong were from the portion that space had suggested not to skip.
mhm,
So it was very efficiently designed to find those portions that you had that good grasp in it, and you will probably solve them rightly in the
mhm,
cementing quizzes, also in the mock also. So after solving the cementing, I realized that there is no need to solve those portions. I should focus more on the portion that Face has suggested spending time on and practice more of it.
mhm,
Also, I was talking about one of your suggestions, and I should really want to share it with people that in quant you should never be too hard on yourself in hard questions, because there can be hard questions you can get it wrong, but you should be very hard on yourself if you had made a silly mistake. Earlier, my mindset was that in the quiz of 21, I made three mistakes. Two were silly mistakes, so I shouldn't focus on that. Silly mistakes are just silly mistakes. I should focus on that one question, why I didn't get it right, why I didn't have the knowledge about it. But in my opinion, the worst mistake you can ever make in quant is the mistakes in the silly mistake kind of thing, because it penalizes more if you make medium or an easy question wrong in the actual exam. The algorithm is such that if you make in initial easy question any question wrong, it will penalize more. Also, that it's a habit to, if you start considering it okay to have a silly mistake, you will probably replicate the same in the main exam also. You will have few silly mistakes. But if you become hard on yourself, if you try to focus during the paper, because most silly mistakes happen because you are not 100% focused while giving the
mhm,
exam. Your mind diverted for a few seconds also. Even if for the few seconds, it can cause a silly mistake. So it helped me realize that I should really focus on the silly mistake and become more focused while giving any quizzes,
mhm.
whether it's cementing quizzes or the custom quizzes or the sectional marks. So this one learning, I really want everyone to have it, that always focus way more on your silly mistakes, because it has the potential to do a lot more damage than the hard question. Because
Yes.
hard question, if you get the concept, you will do it right. But silly mistake are those you know it and still you are doing it wrong.
Yeah. I think somewhere you said, see, we call them silly mistakes, but unless we get to the root cause of why we are making those mistakes, like in your case, you mentioned the most important, the most common cause of making these mistakes was lack of focus, right? So you drill down even to identify why the so-called silly mistakes are happening, right? Otherwise, if we just say, as you rightly said, if there's silly mistake, you're just going to ignore them, keep making those mistakes again and again, and not have a strategy to tackle them.
Yeah, yeah,
So that's really really well said, and I think the fact that consistently across the last 4 5 mocks, you got a 90. Even in the final test, you got a 87, despite making three mistakes. Goes on to talk about how focused you were and how much you clamped down on these behavioral mistakes that you were
yeah.
making. Right? That's very very nice to know. Uh, Now, just coming to um, uh, you know, you and I have been working as a part of the Last Mile Push program for some time. So tell us, what was the value of the program? How did it really help you get to this 100 percentile
So
score?
it depends on person to person. For me personally, LMP was the most important part of eGMAT, if I truly say so, because I knew if I follow the course, I will get good score and I will. But to be in the right mind space to solve those questions, to have someone as a mentor to continuously talk to have a few advice, just like I said, that you made me realize that the silly mistake thing was such a big deal that I have to drill down it why I'm making those mistakes. Also, there was a time when my score was plateauing in the CR section of the
Mhm,
verbal. So I talked to you. You gave me some extra workshop videos. I completed that, and it helped me score way more than my earlier CRS scores. So these thing, one of the thing that I told you that in our last meeting just before the exam, you told me that to have a mindset that if you don't getting a quant question right, consider it an experimental question and ignore it. Don't let it affect your other section. Because I always had that mentality that if I don't get Q90, I won't get to that dream score of mine.
mhm,
But just that one suggestion, it helped so much in actual exam.
mhm,
I can't even think of anything which had contributed more in DI90 than just one advice. Two, if you don't get a quant question right, consider it experimental question. Whether it is experimental or not, it doesn't matter. Consider it. It will give your mind a peace, and you will be more focused on the other section. So I think LMP is very important, very helpful, but it's also depend on you that how you use it. You should interact with your mentor more frequently as much as possible. You should really tell them what is causing the problem,
mhm,
because I used to be very honest with you. If there is a verbal portion I am getting wrong at, even when in one of the mocks I got quant score very low, I told you that I got stuck at one question and gave so much time. You told me that don't fall in love with the question. So that few suggestions can really pick your scores and your preparation to a next level. So in those things, LMP has done a great job for me at least. So I can't vouch more for it.
mhm.
So
Very
LMP is
happy.
really
I am going to miss our sessions now that you
me
know.
too. Me.
Well, yeah. But I think, see, mindset management, when you're going to take the test, you've done everything that you could have done. You've built your ability, you've taken marks, you've taken quizzes, you've fine-tuned your thing. And, on the test day, what matters is that mindset management, to be positive, to just be the same person who took those marks and not do anything differently. And that mindset management goes a long, long way, as you said. A the I-90 would not have been possible if you were still fixated about that one question in which you got stuck in once, right? Uh,
Yeah.
so coming to the mindset management part, uh, things were going brilliantly well. We were taking mocks. You were hitting 745, 735, 755 in your mocks, right? And your test day was what, 2 days down the line, and that's when you realized, right, you don't have a passport and you need a passport.
Actually, it was just one day before the exam. My exam was on 10th, and on 8th, 8th night, I prepared all thing. I have revised everything, and I was completely that I am going to relax on whole day for 9th, and I will give exam on 10th September. On 8th, I realized let's do a checklist that what thing I should carry on the test center. And one of the first, after searching it, one of the first suggestion came that Aadhaar card is valid only for GMAT online, and for test center you should have a passport. So I can't tell you. Firstly, I thought that it was some random opinion. It won't be. It just don't sound logical. But when I started searching and searched the local identity requirement from the MBA.com website, and to getting to know that only and only passport is valid and you won't be able to give the exam, mm, if you don't have passport. So I didn't had the passport, and I had seen the website that how I have to apply, because in my mind that I had to apply for the passport, but I will do it after giving the GMAT exam. So I calculated that getting a Tatkal passport, it was showing that it would take 3 to 10 days. I also don't wanted to reschedule a lot more than, because it would break the momentum. So I wanted to do it
Mm-hmm.
as soon as I can give it, but 3 to 10 day was a bit risky, because if it got delayed or
Mm-hmm.
it got stuck in any process, I wouldn't be able to give the exam again. So I took a margin of 15 day and booked the rescheduled exam for 25th. And then for the few days the whole passport process was going on. I submitted document, got a Tatkal passport, which was a sigh of relief when finally getting a passport, that I can finally now give the GMAT exam. Then again building that momentum for the last 7 days. So during that time, your mindset management really helps. If you had the right mindset that it is a setback, but you can recover from it. Because if you create so much of it in your mind, it was going to impact your preparation, your momentum, it will break it. But at that time, talking to you that we should stretch our preparation, the because while extending the course, there were only few sectional mocks were left, because I had practiced all the questions based on the 10th exam date. So I was in that zone that I should practice more and more. So I gave a lot of sectional tests, very few were left. So we have to spread that preparation for the 10-12 days. I alternate days, I gave sectional mock, gave few full mocks. Uh, 2 days before the exam, on 22nd, on 23rd actually, I gave one official mock which was remaining. I had given three official mocks earlier, scored 755 in that. So I was like, that momentum has again rebuilt. Now I am again at that zone that if I would manage my mindset, I would be able to perform really well in the exam. So yeah, having that kind of mindset, talking to someone who actually have gone through this preparation journey with multiple students, really helps. That's what I said, that LMP in helps you in a way you can't imagine.
Yeah, I know. And how you just managed your mindset so well, during the test also. You mentioned that you were stuck in one question and quant, you kept going back to it. So you knew, for somebody who wanted a Q90, you knew you made at least one mistake in quant, you know. But I think we should hear it from you. How did you then just manage to focus and give it your all today?
So Mm, I guess it helps while giving you mock. There going to be a portion where you will feel there is a time shortage, or there going to be a portion where you will feel that you have messed up one section. So when you are giving mocks, at least give 4 5 mocks, a few official mocks, and all the e sigma mocks of eGMAT. So while giving mock, it helps you build that mindset that even if you have gone through a bad section, you should try to not replicate affect another section because
Mhm.
of that, getting stuck to that section. I had let that one section affect another. In third, I guess in third sigma mock, I scored
Mhm.
685. I remember, and it was because of this reason only, that I have let the first I attempted quant. It didn't go the way I planned, and I let it affect my other DI and verbal also. So those learning were there. Also, having that thought that consider it a experimental question
Mhm.
also helped. Giving yourself a 10-20 second or a minute break,
Mhm.
because you it is a very competitive exam, it is a very lengthy exam, you have a time pressure. But if you get stuck to one thought and try to solve another question, you are going to take more time than taking a 30 second for yourself. Take a 5-10 deep breath, relax your mind, move on from it, then focus on the another portion. So yeah, that really
You,
helps.
that work for DI for verbal you mentioned, you were so excited to see your DI score that the last question you sort of let
Yeah, yeah,
go.
yeah. That was a bit funny thing to do, but still. So when I completed DI with a minute remaining, I realized that I have performed really well in DI, and I had got that feeling that maybe I had done all 20 questions right. So when I took a break after DI 10-minute break, at that time it was also going on in my mind that did I really completed the whole 20 question right in DI. So when I was giving verbal, I completed the verbal question. There was a second last question in verbal, which I knew that I have not CR question that I have not find the appropriate option for it. All five options seemed wrong, so I selected one, completed verbal section. There was a two or 2.5 minute remaining. I went back to that question and I was analyzing it. And suddenly I was so excited to see my DI score that I thought, let's end it. There, I have selected an option, let's end it, which eventually got the wrong result, which eventually was not the right answer that question. But finally, the score which I dreamt of, it was there. So worth
Yes.
it.
Yeah, I know. Because it was so nice, when I heard it was a very, very well deserved 745. I should say that if there is anybody who deserves this score, it is you. Uh, you just, as I said, you left no stone unturned when it comes to ability building, when it comes to practice, when it comes to mindset management, every which way, right? And as they say, the proof is in the pudding. So the proof is in the score. So looking back, Kishlay, if you had to share something from your journey, which were instrumental in really helping you get to the score and share it with other aspirants out there so that they could also, learn from your journey and get closer to their target score, what would that be?
Firstly, that don't let your weaker section intimidate you.
Mm.
Because I know a lot of people who prepare, especially from India, that they have quant strong. Inherently, many of Indians have a strong mathematical side and they generally struggle in verbal. I have seen it with many aspirant and many people. So it's not about the knowledge of English language per se.
Mhm.
GMAT is basically a form of reasoning portion, whether it's quant, whether it's DI, whether it's verbal also. It's basically testing your reasoning. And in CR, it operates only on logic. You have to find that logical mindset to solve a question and don't get intimidated by it that it's a verbal, it's English
Mhm.
thing. I don't have a good fluency in English or good English command, so I won't be able to do it. Yeah, there would be challenge, there would be some few question which there would be few words which were out of your vocabulary,
Mhm.
so you will feel that challenge, but that's okay. But majorly, it's an reasoning test. So focus on that and always focus on logic rather than comprehending it. Also, one small advice which had helped me a lot, and I think can help many students in RC. Whenever you start reading an RC, just take a few seconds and smile and create an interest in your mind that you are going to learn something new, because you understanding a passage a lot depend on how much interest you are putting in while reading it. So when you are reading the first line of the RC, if you start with an interest and inquisitive nature that I am going to learn something new, I am going to read about something which I have not, which I didn't have a knowledge about, so automatically it will help you understand that passage 10-20% more.
Mhm.
So this thing has worked for me, and I really think it can work for everyone. That reading an RC passage with just a smile and have that inquisitive nature in you, build that inquisitive nature that you are going to learn something new, you are going to understand something new. It will definitely help in RC. Quant, if you are strong in quant, don't take it lightly, because silly mistakes can be very hard
Mhm.
at times. And if you are really challenging with quant, So Quant has a very defined syllabus in GMAT. Not everything under the math is a part of
Mm-hmm.
GMAT syllabus. There's a very definite syllabus, and they have removed geometry also from the classical edition to the focus edition, which has reduced the syllabus even more.
Mm-hmm.
So if you give sufficient time for especially for whom the quant is challenging, and practice a lot and lot of question, quant score will automatically improve, because in quant a lot depends on practicing the question and understanding the different varieties of question.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I feel I have talked a lot about DI, but still in DI you have to keep in mind and start believing that you can attempt 20 questions. Initially, when you will attempt to 15 and 16 question, it will feel a far-fetched idea to get to that level that you will complete all 20 question with proper time management, but you will eventually get there by practicing more and more and more. So these are my learning for the three sections also. For overall having a right mindset, and I would advise that having a bit of exercise in morning or meditative practice can help you a lot to be in that right mindset. It's actually funny. I want to share this with you all that one day before the exam, I was all done and prepared. So I searched on Google that ways to relax yourself one day before the exam, and there
Uh-huh.
was 11 or 12 suggestion. I did all 12. Do exercise, do breathing, but it won't help you if you do for one time. Exercising and having a meditation session of 15-20 minutes can really help you to be in a good mind space, which I was doing for last 1 month or so. So it can help you a small bit of exercises that you, if you are feel physically fit, it also helps you feel mentally more
Mm-hmm.
recharged and active. Also, meditative session can help you to overcome the few rush of emotion while doing the
Mm-hmm.
exam.
Mm-hmm.
Just like you asked that how you do it when there you ever thinking that you have got one question in your mind. So to take a five deep breath, to have that mindset, let it go, and
Mm-hmm.
move on to next section. Such exercises can help you in building that mindset to not get attached to one thing, to get move on, to be in calm, focused version of that, focusing while giving the mock, focused on that question, not thinking one part of brain is thinking about another thing.
Mm-hmm.
So these suggestions I think can help people.
Yeah, that's a very, very valuable suggestions, I should say. You've just given for each section, and then an overall thing. And I'm sure viewers watching here will really, really benefit from this. But all that said, Kishlay, congratulations again, and thank you for taking the time out today to share your journey with other GMAT aspirants out there. It's been a wonderful pleasure working with you. The entire eGMAT family wants to wish you all the very best for your next steps. Keep rocking.
Yep.
You're saying.
So I was saying that it was really a wonderful experience for me also, these few month journey with eGMAT, because they have helped me in multiple times in everything which I needed during verbal preparation or mindset issue, to have discussions with mentor. These small things can really help you a lot while doing the whole preparation bit. So yeah, it was a wonderful experience. I would like to get associated with you guys in when I can, in some workshop or so.
Uh,
It would be a really
and,
wonderful experience. Yeah.
yeah, sure. So thank you again, Kishlay. Stay in
Yeah.
touch. I, yeah, and all the best.
Thank you.